Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm going to keep this brief. This is definitely the longest episode I've ever published, but it is rich and full of transformation. It is called What Happens When You Lean In. It is the 6-month deep dive coaching program attendees finishing up their program at a retreat here at my home and talking about what's changed for them, why they joined, what's happened along the way. And I know you're going to be inspired after listening. Quickly, if you're interested, I am running a Rewiring Your Core Wound Patterns 3-month group starting in September. Applications are open now, and I already have a spot or two filled, so there's about 5 spots left. If you're interested, go to jjfilzanes.com/apply. This will be in the show notes, and I hope you enjoy today's show and feel inspired. Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm sitting in my backyard. The chimes are ringing. The birds are chirping. The wind is blowing. You're going to hear lots of sounds on today's episode because I'm also sitting around the table with the 2023 6-month deep dive crew who just finished their retreat that came along with their 6-month program. And as I always like to share the things that are happening with those that are listening. Some of you have been in programs and some of you haven't. And regardless if you have or haven't with me, it's not why I do it. It's because I want you to be inspired that other people like you are doing things, taking action and getting results and healing and things that they need in their lives. Because listening is very easy. You're driving, you're working, you're exercising, and it's not even a focal point. It's just something in the background. But for some of you, you're really looking for something. Many of you listen to my show because you're looking for something and you want something more than you currently have. So I'm hoping that today you're going to hear some stories and from different people's perspectives and different voices and different personalities that might inspire you to take and do that thing that you keep telling yourself you're going to do. Because, we, in this lifetime, we're in this physical body for a finite time. And, we don't want to really have any regrets at the end. I don't. I'm going to guess a lot of you wouldn't choose to have a regret at the end. So, it's taking the bull by the horns and doing it. So I think I actually do want to start with Cammie, because Cammie's been listening to the show the longest. And I'd love you to introduce yourself. Where are you from? How long have you been listening? What show? Like, how did you get here? And why did you join the program?
All right. So I think I've probably been listening since 2017, maybe. And I found it through a friend who I didn't ever listen to podcasts, and I didn't really know why it was on my Apple phone. I'm like, why? Why is this here? What do I need? Is this something I need? Can I get rid of it? And my friend, Georgia, would send me podcasts every once in a while and be like, hey, you should check this out because I think it has good content and it's relatable to you. So I started listening from there. And then eventually I joined a Facebook group. Oh, I did like the 30-day
Manifestation challenge?
Manifestation challenge.
Well, did your friend send you my show?
Mm-hmm.
Great. And then you liked it, started listening, joined the first 30-day manifestation challenge?
Yes. Because I thought, well, now I want to know more about law of attraction and I want to know about manifestation and how does this work and how do you grow with this and how does it help your life and help you find really like your true, not necessarily calling, but like how are you more authentic in life? And how do you present yourself and how do you get comfortable with you changing and evolving and being who you're really meant to be because maybe you've stuffed some of that stuff down or you have not been open to it in the past. And now you're like, I'm ready. Let's do this.
Cool. So that's Spirit, Purpose, and Energy, just to be clear.
Yes.
Okay. And then you joined this group. Why?
I joined this group because I finally was at a spot with myself as I've, talked myself through things and I know that I need to make some changes as far as career and doing different things. And so for me, it was about building confidence and feeling good with who I am as a person and being okay with me and going, you know what, I'm going to rock this and I can do different things because it's the whole how you see yourself versus how your friends see you. And as you're talking about things and doing things and your friends are coming to you and going, hey, do you know about this? Or do you know? And I am sort of the one who will be like, oh, well, you should try this. Or have you thought about this? So it's the how they see you. And you go, oh, that's not how I see myself at all. And going, oh, I guess I am that person.
So you joined, and so if anyone's hearing Luna in the background, because I can hear her. Luna's one of my 5 cats. She's my second oldest, and she has become a very good therapy cat, as we have learned over the weekend. So she has been here being a good mama, and I think she was just out fetching something. So we're having coffee. We're sitting to have a coffee talk, and so if you hear, the Harris banging all these mugs and glasses and things. That's what's going on. Sitting outside having coffee and talking to you about what these people learned and are doing and have evolved and all that good stuff. So good. So Cammie, you wanted to become more of who you think your friends see you as.
Yes. And just more confident in general. Because I am more of a let me dip my foot in, not too far, but let me just test the waters. And then I'm like the hokey pokey. Like I'm in, I'm out, I'm shaking it all about. And so it's a whole commitment kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Because then it's a commitment and somebody's going to hold you accountable. And I have friends who I text with every morning, like I got my journaling done and different things. But this is commitment and accountability on a whole different level because you talk about your feelings and where you need to go. And feelings are hard for me. I mean, it's not that I don't have them. I just don't often share them.
Right.
So it was a whole being open and sharing and finding kind of a safe space to grow and do all of that.
Perfect. Well, we're going to come back to you. We're going to go through and then you can talk about what you learned. So now we know why you joined. And I think by default, I'm going to go to Patrick next. Not by default, but meaning Caitlin, who is your girlfriend. And for anyone who's been in a live event or in the communities, you probably know that. And you might have heard Patrick on, I think you had given a testimonial at Awaken Your Dream Life. So he was definitely on that and had tended that. So I think by default, because she's been listening probably the same amount of time, and so maybe you've been hearing a little bit here or there about that, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself.
Hey, so I'm Patrick. I live in the South Florida area. I'm 40 years old, and I've been working as a nurse practitioner for the last 5 years. I have my own primary care practice, and I also work in substance abuse and treatment centers helping people. So I came across you, JJ, I think Caitlin's been listening to you maybe about 3+ years. And so she had been sending me some podcasts here and there because she knows that I'm also in recovery from substance abuse. And so she knows that the journey's pretty similar with some of the spiritual beliefs. And so she would send me some podcasts and say, hey, I think, I've been listening to this lady. Some of this is similar to stuff that you talk about, but a little different. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll listen to it. And, as a man, I wasn't really somebody that would listen to women. I just never thought of having a female spiritual guide or somebody that I would pick up on stuff from just because the mentality of being a man. And so I started listening and I was like, damn, this lady's really good. And I would listen and think, I don't want to say attitude, but I really like the delivery of hey, this is me. If you don't like it, cool. You can move on. No big deal. And so I really respected that because I knew that you weren't trying to sell to the entire world. It was like, hey, this is what I have. If you want it, here. And if not, you'll go find what you're looking for somewhere else. So, so you had the live event last year, the Awaken Your Dream Life in October, I think it was. And Caitlin was, she asked me hey, I want to go to this event, but I'm just kind of nervous to go by myself. It's all the way in California. We're living in Florida. I said, yeah, no problem, babe. I'll go with you. I'll go check it out. And I know in my journey the last 20 years that, I'm open to trying new things, especially if it's going to, better myself. And so right before we went, she just bombarded me with podcasts. Listen to all these JJ podcasts before we go, so that way you have a better idea of kind of what we're getting into. I said, okay, no problem. And I drive around a lot for work, so I have hours and hours of driving, so I had tons of time to listen, which was good to pass the time. And so we went to the event. I'm kind of all right, what's up with this stuff here? Okay, kind of still a little not sure what's going to be happening. And so we had the event, and it was either the first or the second day when we sat in the circle and passed the microphone around that I got honest with, 30 something other people and noticed that, wow, I'm really more broken than I thought, than I really acknowledged. And I broke down and cried in front of this group of people, which is, not what us men are supposed to do. And I did that, and I just had this total awakening of, I want to be better. And I think these people can help me. I think this lady can help me. And so I got in touch with some stuff, again, in front of a group of people, and it was just something that I knew that I wanted to continue on this. And so you approached me the last day and said, if you want, I can help you. Not like, I think maybe I can help you, or, we can try to figure it out, but you were just confident, just 100%, I can help you. And I knew you meant it. And so, I sat with it, and then I said, let's do it. I'm in. And then that's when the 6-month deep dive was presented to me. And, of course, I was a little leery about the finances and the money, and, being able, knowing that I could afford it, but still being leery of like, wow, I don't know if I want to spend the money. And then realizing, like this mug says in front of me, it says invest in yourself. This coffee mug I have right here. And I said, all right, let's do it. And I'm in. So that's what's transpired, and that's what began this last 6 months, and having this awesome community and relationships with these ladies. I was one of 2 men in the group, and for other reasons, the other guy dropped out, so I ended up being the solo guy, as happens sometimes. But it's been an awesome experience, and so I think that's all I can add for now.
I don't normally approach people, especially that aren't coming to me, unless you've been like stepped forward before. Like once you step forward and you're like, okay, I'm interested in working with you in some capacity. Then when you're in here, and I know you trust me, I might push and say, I really think this is the next step for you. You were in the circle and had this epiphany about how much you were aware that you weren't very nice to yourself. You were, not being very nice to yourself. And I just waited. Do you remember I stopped the circle because you were passing the mic and you were in that place. And I was like, whoa, we've gotten to the end of this event. And that felt like despair. And like I didn't know for sure if you were going to do anything about that. And so that's when I was like looking at you. I was waiting for like, I can help you. Can I help you? Can I please help you? Because I don't want this to be the end of this story. I don't want you to come to this event and then say, I'm now aware of how much I don't like myself. And then that's where this is going to end. I'm like, no. There needs to be like a better ending to this story. So I appreciate that you allowed me to offer that. And again, I wouldn't have like hounded you or chased you around to be like, do you want to sign up to my program? Do you want to sign up for my program? Like it was out of that, you're being vulnerable and recognizing and really being open. And I was like, oh my gosh, please let me help you. Please let me help you. I want you to feel better than that. So I appreciate that you agreed. And we're going to talk about what you guys have gotten out of this. And also with not just your story will inspire others, but also the things that you, like when you were on the other side, you all have been on the other side of this microphone listening. And so you know what it's like to be listening and then wondering and being curious and hearing other people like you and other, episodes that have had different experiences. And so maybe there's that one thing somebody needs to hear to motivate them to take action in whatever way that is for them. So I want you to think about that too, like the things that have stopped you from doing it before, or how do you recognize the timing when it is right? So just things like that. So I think I'm going to move to Danielle, because I think then you were next, and it's been maybe a little over a year, 2 years, a year and a half.
I think we started in February of before Awaken Your Dream Life, so it's a little over a year.
So introduce yourself.
Yep. So my name is Danielle, and I live in New Jersey, and I am a retired hairdresser, and that happened all in this last year. I have a little bit of a different journey, and how I found JJ was I was looking about the shadow side in astrology, so I was looking for, I think it was Chiron it was the North Node, and I happened to find you with one of Jan Spiller's people, and it just intrigued me. So when I found her, it was a YouTube. I would watch her on YouTube, and then I kind of went down the rabbit hole, and then I started with the podcast, and then she had so many different platforms and so many different, it wasn't just your emotions. It wasn't just it was like the whole picture of like looking at the whole map of what makes us who we are and why we came here. And so I remember like signing, she had packages to do coaching with. And I was like, yes, I want to talk to her. And, cause you just had like, I think cause I like for myself, I don't know where I'm going to go from here, but I was intrigued, like how are you doing all of these things? Because you also do the whole homeopathic and the gut and, like all the health, all rounded. So that's like really started me down, working with you. And then I remember us having a couple of sessions and, then you had told me, I said, I really miss live events. And, and you're like, well, I'm going to have one in October. And I knew immediately I was going to, but I was like, all right, let me like see where my life is going. Cause I was in the process of like preparing for retirement and didn't know what that was going to look like. So at Awaken Your Dream Life, it was magical. That's the word I gave. Like I remember at the end, it was fun. It was well-rounded. It had music. It just wasn't like, doing the work and then go home and like go to sleep and you're exhausted. Like there was play, there was community, there was singing, there was like the whole, like what you want, that you don't want it to be so intense that you don't get to relax, So I had like, we were doing whole brain living and I just realized how imbalanced I was and why I was feeling so stuck, that I was always in my analytical brain and my organization and control. And that kind of started the process. And then at the end of the event, there was a couple of options that we had. And I knew going into business was a hard pass. I was like not ready for that because I had some stuff that I felt like I really retiring and working on myself. So this was just and it was a perfect amount of time. I think it was a year for me, for myself at the time, but it felt like too much, but I knew 3 months wouldn't have been enough, or a month, so I felt like the 6 months was perfect because it's long enough for you to stretch, but then feel like you get to integrate as well and just see where you're at. Cause that's like, and one of the other things too, for me, for myself, one of the things why I was very attracted to it was a close group. There's like, and I've been in other arenas and other, things there's a lot of people and you can hide, and that doesn't really make you special and make you first in your journey, because you could easily disappear, and I didn't want that for myself. So I knew that was my next place that I needed to, like, it needed to be face to face, like in my face.
In your face.
In my face,
and
yes.
Boy, has it been in your face.
Oh, it has, yes.
Yes, we're going to talk about that later in today's show. All right. So, Becky, you're the newest. Well, introduce yourself and tell us how you got here.
I'm Becky, and I live near Santa Cruz, California. And I got here through your podcast. Let's see. I think I discovered it last October, end of last October. So maybe 7-8 months ago. And I was at a place of grieving. I was at a place of feeling lost, I think loss is the right word. And I've known in the past through podcasts that you can find so many different tools. You can find other people that have that story. In my past life, I'm an educator, but in my past life, I was also in network marketing. There's a lot of self-help type things in that field. So it was very comfortable knowing that this in the world of podcasts was new to me. So I think I searched in the podcast something like healing, energy, purpose, something. And JJ's podcast came up, and it was beautiful. The colors is what attracted me. It was these pinks and these yellows. And I believe my very first podcast I listened to was your last group, like a 6-month, or maybe it was Awaken. It would have been from last November.
It was the trainers. It was the Empowerment Strategist trainers,
Okay.
The second group.
So it's like the first or second one. I knew at that moment in time in my life that I needed to do more than just continue to listen. I think we all will listen to podcasts and hear and be like, oh my goodness, that's so true. Or there's so much truth there. And wow, that's amazing. And yes, if I did more of that, but then we get busy in our lives and we go back to our habits or our patterns. And then we continue to almost seek that knowledge, but not to do anything with it. And something about JJ and her safety and her, I don't want to say take charge, but her ability to provide that space of confidence. Confidence was really what it was for me. I just knew that there was going to be able to be a connection there. So I was very different than many of us here who have taken a process. I just knew I had to in my life make a step to break this pattern of where I was energetically going. At the same time, I was also building businesses. So I immediately thought, well, let's do the mastermind because I could work on the emotions, but really, again, focus on more of a business. And within a month of just having some of JJ's materials, I realized absolutely I needed to do this first. I could not build the house, the beautiful house with the landscaping without the foundation being in play. And to me, this 6 months is and has been the foundation.
Well, it was because of your changing your mind, because you did join the mastermind and then you started to watch the roadmap course and changed your mind. And because of that and other things, other contrasts that were happening at the time for me, it solidified that this is how I wanted to do things, which those of you that have been listening for a while, I recorded an episode earlier in the year, first episode of 2023 called the first bold move of 2023, which was me saying that this now, whether it be a 3-month, a 6-month, or roadmap course, emotional work, that needs to happen. That's a prerequisite for anyone in the mastermind. So what that means is I'm not going to be announcing the mastermind to any of you who are listening to the show. You do not have access. You cannot apply for the mastermind because I want to only work with those on their businesses that are into doing the emotional work also. And even if you've done emotional work with someone else, I will tell you it's different because I even have someone in the 3-month group right now who went back and forth, and you know who you are. She's going to laugh when she hears this because she said, JJ, I've done so much work. And she's like, is this the right program for me? And I said, I don't know if it's the right program for you, but all I know is that I can hear where I can help you. And then we're not even into the whole 3 months. And she's already said, I'm seeing the changes and this isn't going to be enough. Can we do more? Can we extend this? And I said, of course we can. But I just want to reflect back how much you weren't sure in the beginning. But it's understanding that what we do here in these small groups, and I love the small groups because you do get the personal time. You do get and it's different than one-on-one. And maybe we can speak to that, because most people here have done some kind of therapy with somebody or some kind of coaching. And it's, you can be the best coach in the world and still cannot deliver the same environment that a small group program does. There's the authenticity, the vulnerability, the connection, the community, the feeling not alone, the feeling like if I'm just coaching you and it's like judgmental or that I'm broken and you're here to fix me or something. It's like, no, we're all in this together. And and that's the reflection you get from being in a group like this. So I appreciate, Becky, you helping me to make that final decision because I had been feeling it, but it's literally a shot in the foot potentially for me business-wise because I go from like tens of thousands of people that could apply down to like, I don't know, less than 50 right now. And now there's only going to be 12 to 15 slots in the mastermind anyway, which isn't a huge big deal, but I no longer can promote it. And I'm okay with that because it isn't about the money for me. It's about the work. It's about being free to flow between business and emotional, but knowing that now you guys all have a language from which to move forward and a different point of view and different perspectives from which to treat your entire life, your relationship, your business. And that's what I want to bring in that kind of holistic place. So, and then I've wanted to rename this group, which I have, and we'll talk about that later. But so let's move on to now. It's been 6 months and you guys have been slammed with a lot of exercises, a lot of data, a lot of information, like so much. And it may be too much. Probably the next time might do a little less. I'm still learning. And I want you that are listening to understand that. Maybe that's an important part I really need to focus on. I don't have this all figured out. I said in 2019, I really want to do a mastermind that's mine. I want to add the mind, body, spirit, soul, money component. I wonder who's interested. Oh, you guys are interested? Cool, let's do this. Let's see how it goes. Oh, here's what I liked about it, and here's what I didn't like about it. Here's how I'm going to change it next time, right? And every new iteration, every year, something shifts and something changes. I'm still not clear about all the things that are going to go into next year's 6-month group, and because I'm going to take stuff away. Okay, does that mean there's another extension to the 6 months? Do I then offer another 3 months? And I'm only sharing this with you so you understand that if you feel like I don't know what I'm doing, it doesn't matter. That doesn't mean you can't make money or make a living or help people. You can do all of those things and figure it out along the way because there's no end point. I'm not there yet, but I'm still being able to help people and help myself and grow myself through the process and make a living and do meaningful work in the world to me that most of the time doesn't feel like work. It just feels like something I'd be doing for free anyway, literally. So I just want to put that out there so that you guys don't think, well, whether it be business related or I don't know what I'd focus on or I don't know, it doesn't matter. Take one step and then allow things to unfold for yourself because you're literally witnessing me learning how to specialize in core wound work. That's what I've realized, that the Rewire group was focused on the core wounds. I even have another process after that I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm getting fine-tuning. And you're all witnessing that happen. All of these things are getting deeper and deeper and more fine-tuned. And how do we do it and how do we deliver it? So there's not an end point, guys. There's not I have to get this right and then life will be great. I have to make this money and then life will be great. I have to fix this one thing about my health and then everything's going to fall in place. No, that's not how it works. It's all connected and it's an ebb and a flow, and learning how to ebb and flow and balance, and most importantly, focus in a way that you manifest what you want along the way, and that you don't get all weird and crunchy when contrast happens, so that way you can continue to expand and evolve and understand what's going on, so you don't freak out and think that there's something wrong with you. You have emotions, but no one's taught you how to deal with them. Nobody, right? Probably nobody. You probably had terrible examples as parents. I love my parents to death, but I have terrible examples of how to handle emotion. So, but that's one of the most important things in life, in my opinion. Okay, yes, as you can hear, I could talk about this subject for about 5 hours without taking a breath. So, Cammie, back to you. Let's talk about what you've gotten out of this event. Was it what you thought it would be? Let's start there.
I think it was a little bit more than what I thought it would be. I like the fact that I felt like I built friendships and trust, and it's all right to say what you want to say, because Patrick has a great point, or Becky has you learn through it. You say your things when you get on a polo and you're like, oh, this happened, blah, 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 blah. And so it's a whole people helping you process through and rethink things and go, oh, I get that now. Or I didn't think about it that way, but I can see from your perspective how, okay, I'm good. I got this. So I think for me, it was a learning to be more open and a willingness to share more and maybe share a piece of you that you're not necessarily sure you want to share. And it's okay to do that. And you're going to learn from it, because the only way you're really going to grow and change and evolve is if you're open and you share those things and you let those things out.
Good. What would be the the best result, if you will, or evidence of growth for you through the 6 months?
I think the best evidence is that I am okay and I do not die when I, use my voice to say things, because oftentimes I would just let things blow over, or I just would emotionally be like, it's fine, stuff it. And so now I think I'm going to use my voice, and how it comes out sometimes might not be how somebody else is thinking it should be, or maybe they have more of a question, and I can go back and, seems silly to say recalculate, but I can go back and phrase it in a different way that I go, that's not what I meant. Here's what I was talking about. This is my thinking in this process. And that's where I'm coming from. This is how I'm approaching this. And I think it has led to better communication.
Great. Any last words for anyone about considering something like this, whether it be with me or somebody else doing a program like this?
I think it's a great thing to consider and do, because if you're sort of stuck, which I think a lot of us feel like this stuck feeling, and we don't know where to go and where to grow and how that looks, this is a great way to unstick yourself as far as that goes and really reach for all those goals and things that you've limited yourself because you're just not sure, and you don't, you're not sure where you want to go with it. This is the way to go. I got this. I can do this. And you can leap.
The thing that we did in the last two Empowerment Strategists was we did this recording on video on our last session. And we're sitting around in my backyard around my fire pit, not on video. And so I want to keep the tradition alive about sort of how we ended each group. And I want everyone else to maybe chime in for each person once you're done. So we'll talk with Cammie about the things that you see that has changed in Cammie. So I'm going to start. So Cammie, one of the things that you wanted from this group and wanted from this course and this work would be to be more confident. And you said that you hated public speaking, and you've been killing it right now. You've been killing it today. So I just want to say that you're more of a natural than you think you are, right? And I really appreciate the stretching that you've wanted to do. And then yesterday in your time in front of the group, your acknowledgement of still wanting to stretch more and wanting to be held accountable for that. And, because that's hard to say, especially after you've gone through 6 months. And it's sort of like, some people want to get to the end. It's like, okay, I made it through. Okay, great. I can go back to what I was doing before. But you have been very I want to make sure that I do more stretchy things. And so I think the bravery surrounding that has been really nice. So anyone else have some words for Cammie?
Yeah, I wanted to say, I've definitely noticed a lot more confidence in you since we've gone through. And like myself, you've also used a lot of humor to cover things up. And I've noticed that has been less as of lately. But you still haven't lost that side of you. You're still hilarious, still sarcastic, still have your little Cammie-isms that we all crack up about. But when it's time to be real, you're being real. And in the beginning, that wasn't happening. You could tell. And again, I see that because I see that in myself, where I use humor to kind of negate what's really going on and kind of hide from it. So, so we've all seen that. We've seen the confidence come up and the stuff, speaking more, having more of a voice with work and with family and just kind of asking more for what you want and voicing that more. So I think you've come a long way.
I've seen you let down your guard, and I feel like there was almost this wall, this brick, this wood, something that you would stop yourself in the beginning because you didn't know how to formulate it and get it out of your mouth and talk about it. And maybe it was stuck in your head. Maybe it was just sitting there, but you've had this ability over the course of the last 6 months, but particularly I would say towards the end, the last month or two of just doing all the work, that now there's not a block. It's like the faucet is open. It's not dripping. And you now are able to take your ideas and center it down to your heart and feel more and let it out. And I just believe that now that the faucet is open, that's going to continue. In saying all of this, I've also just really appreciated our friendship and the growth there. And that's something that you do not anticipate that's going to happen, the connections that you're going to meet with people around the world, that you do. And so I'm really looking forward to continuing to see you go down that path and continue to build your confidence, because I really think you're on a good map.
Yes, I agree with both of Patrick and Becky that, definitely using the humor as a safeguard. I feel like there's a balance now. Your humor is never going to go away, because you're hilarious and you have given me a lot of scary moments. I knew what were coming, and I had you as you're always cracking jokes and secret to me and just kept things light. So that's a really beautiful essence of you, is that you have started to step into the scary parts. And I just agree with both of them that allowing yourself to be more vulnerable, and you just kind of flowed through the whole. I mean, at least this weekend, because us seeing each other, and your polos being more, like anytime JJ was like, she was starting to push your edge, you stepped into it, and we could witness that. And that was, you were like, oh, but then you'd come back and you had already stepped into it. So the quick turnaround is, was really nice to watch and witness. And then, I think the other part too is knowing, where you were at with it. And, you were open and willing. Yeah. The confidence, and because, us watching with your job and stuff like that. And like, you gave me like a lot of like, you can do this. Like, this is, like, even though it was scary and you were confused and, you hurdled over it and you went for it, and you consistently made little steps on forward.
Anything you want to say about any of that?
Mike, first of all, I love you guys. You're the best. I think that it is, doing this is an interesting time because you make friends that you never knew you would make, and you feel like you're not alone and you have somebody that you can share with, and as I like to say, verbally vomit. So I might call Becky and go, oh my gosh, blah, 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 and get my stuff out, and she can come back with me and go, oh, I see where this is or where that is, and let's talk through that, and why is that, and how are we going to do? And so you build, and I think even throughout the whole JJ community, like I have friends I never knew that I would have, and I know that I said one time in a one-on-one with JJ, like, these are some of the closest friends that I have, and is it weird that I have internet friends in a world of stranger danger and different? You go, are these my friends? Like, I think these are my friends. These are my people. I like this. There's a comfort level here. And so it's a whole processing through that piece of it, because you think you're in your group of core people and who you do life with every day. And they know different sides of you than this group of people know. And then how do you build your confidence enough in this to go out into the real world, or as the kids say, IRL? How do you build that and keep those friendships with your friends and dig deeper in those friendships?
Well, I think part of what makes, I mean, I don't know, I haven't been in other people's communities that do anything like what I'm doing, but what I keep hearing is that when people come together, as I'm sort of the center, like, you were attracted to me first, there's a resonance that everybody has pretty quickly with each other, because that it's no bullshit. We're going to talk about real things. There's not a pompousness about it. We're not, it's not an ego thing. Like, everybody is here to like be better and be open and to get better. And so it's almost like that gets pre-qualified before you meet everybody. And so when people, I've had it been told to me at masterminds that the minute they walk into the room with everybody else, they already know that they're people, because they also know they can talk about spiritual healing, astrology, alternative medicine, blah, 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 whatever. And it's all fair game, right? How many times in life do you meet somebody and you're like, God, I don't know where they sit with these different subjects. I should probably wait and not say anything yet because they may think I'm weird. And it's almost like, if you're kind of here, we're all weird. And we all know that. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in an eclectic, we're black sheep, but we're also pioneer way, right? We're unique. We're unique, right? Everybody's weird in their own way, right? But like, embrace your weird. Fly that flag, right? It's okay. Your freak flag, right? So yeah, so that's the feedback I've gotten. So great. I just wanted you to receive all that was given to you. So thanks, Cami.
Thank you.
Yeah, Patrick. Let's talk about your journey on this program and what you think the most important things were, or what you got out of it and what you want to share.
So I don't know if now's a good time, but I don't know if I got very much. Is this a bad time to ask for a refund?
There's the uncomfortable joke of let me set the stage.
It is just a complete transformation, and I've acknowledged that through you guys, through the feedback I've gotten from you guys. I speaking of astrology, I'm Aquarius. I have like 4 air signs in my planets, and so I've lived my entire life in my head. I analyze my thoughts, feelings. I analyze everything. And this has helped kind of bring me more inside and get in more grounded, which again, being a man, being a guy, and not really like, that's kind of not something you're supposed to do, and acknowledge and talk about feelings, intimacy. Like you said in the beginning, I didn't grow up with examples of how to talk about emotions, how to have feelings. I didn't have intimacy with my father. I was, always provided for, never needed or wanted as far as like food and, bills were always going to be paid and things like that. And I was always supported and with sports and relationships and all, but I didn't really have examples of, that it was okay to talk about things. So I always felt very different and kind of on the outside of my family. And again, I'm the only air sign in my family too, as you guys know. So I just kind of always kind of kept things to myself and, became a very kind of internalized everything, repressed everything, to the point to where, as you guys pointed out, during this process, I was kind of just like a boiling pot of water that was just always overspilling, always kind of like bursting. So I was able to share road rage episodes with you guys, going to a hockey game one night, somebody like almost ran us over in the parking lot and, I halfway chased the person down on foot. So I was just always just at that edge of exploding. And so it's been very different now through this process. I even took up boxing 3 years ago at the age of 37, just to get in shape and just to get fit. And, Caitlin, my girlfriend, had been doing it for a couple years prior to that. And I thought, yeah, that'd be a fun thing to do. Never with any intention on competing or doing anything serious, and during this process in April, because of your guys' support and because of the work here and starting to have more faith in myself and more self-love and more belief in myself, and because of you always pushing us, JJ, to expand and do things different, get out of our comfort zone, I went and competed in a tournament and actually won it. And that's not something that, and you guys helped me remove myself from the outcome of this event, that it wasn't about winning or losing. Of course, we always want to win when we compete and do sports and competition, but it was really about the fact of like, you're 40 years old, you're doing all this work and trying to be a different person and be better in some regards. Like, just go do this thing and see what happens. Don't be left up to the results. And it was a very spiritual, just different kind of experience. And it was something that even up to the point to where the fight almost happened, I just kept wanting to kind of pull myself out, hope the other guy wasn't going to make weight, or hoping there was going to be an injury or something, still trying to sabotage myself. But I kept thinking of you guys and doing the exercises, the Ho'oponoponos, and a lot of the self-talk that you had been teaching us, and all the exercises leading up to it, that, I walked through it and did it. And then the icing on the cake was I actually won. So like, it was just an awesome experience. And as you guys know, I had this big gnarly beard that like hung down to my chest when we started this. I had for about 3 or 4 years, and I shaved that beard a couple months into this process because it was just something I felt like was kind of a mask for me in some regards, and I just wanted to change, try different things. And so that's what this whole process has been about, is just trying new stuff. And again, I'm hoping to be able to take this out into the world and show other guys, show other men, like, it's okay to cry. It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to listen to your woman or whoever your partner is. It's okay to like not have to fix all the problems in the world and just listen and just be there and be present and hold the space. And I've learned a lot of tools like, when somebody's talking and sharing with me, I don't have to just offer advice. I can say, do you want me to just listen? Do you want some feedback? And like, women desire a man like that a lot more than they do when we're just the breadwinner and we just sit back on the couch with our hands in our pants watching TV, flicking the remote. Like, they want somebody to be present. So it's been a real eye-opener because, again, I didn't have those examples growing up.
Many of us didn't. And that's why the information exists. But, I really want to thank you, Patrick, because I know this, months ago when I mentioned doing this podcast, you're like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. And I said,
especially on video.
okay, well, you got that one granted. Okay. I said, we'll do it when we're together. We don't want to do it on video. And it is much better probably for all of you to be doing it without being on video. And it is more special for us to be doing it together. But your voice is so needed. There are so many men who are suffering silently. I mean, how many, again, suicides can you think off the top of your head? They're mostly men in the entertainment industry, because there's a sort of, I can't share being vulnerable. I can't say I've had a bad day. I can't be angry. I can't show that face. I wear a mask. There's a lot of pain and suffering that's going untreated because nobody knows what to do about it. And if we go to traditional therapy, and again, no, if you have a great therapist, you know my spiel, like, great, that's not for you. But if all you get asked is, how do you feel today? And how does that make you feel? And we're telling the same story and we never elevate or learn something new or have a different perspective, that's not help. Because we don't feel better by telling the same story over and over again, even if you understand it. How many people go through therapy and say, oh, I worked on that? No, you talked about it. But if you didn't change your perspective about it, you didn't fix it. And if it didn't emotionally, energetically leave your body and you are not different, then you are aware of it. But that is different than embodying a change. And when you, and I can't wait to have everybody share it. And I can't wait to go back and awaken your dream life and literally edit that video out for you in the circle, because you aren't that same person. That person didn't think that he deserved any love and thought that he didn't deserve anything. And who you are now is someone who accepts and thrives on allowing people to give you the love and the compliments that you deserve and earn just for being, not because you performed or did anything right or wrong. So the brightness that you have, the openness that you have, I've only known you, I only met you at Awaken Your Dream Life. So I'd love to hear, and I know you were telling me that people were saying, like, you were getting compliments from people, or what were some of the things people were saying about your energy?
I would just walk into one of my job sites and somebody would say, wow, you look different today, or wow, you look really happy, or what's going on in your life recently, or, what medication are you on? I want some of what you have. And yeah, that's been a big part too, which you really pushed with me, is accepting compliments, which was acknowledging the compliments and paying attention to that. As the days and time had gone by, I've been seeing a lot more and noticing more when people are acknowledging and compliment me, because I'm looking for that. I'm noticing it. And rather than saying the yeah, but, or thank you, but, which is what I always did, which would make an excuse for why they were complimenting me. Now I've just been able to tell them thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Is it okay if I just mention one of the main exercises that started this whole process and all these things is the core wound exercises. And again, you guys helped me because of the three of you air signs, right? Helped me really get that, okay, seeing it, talking about it, analyzing is not enough. I was like, it needs another level, which is then why I felt like, oh, I can do a 3-month if we just focus on this. So you guys were that contrast. It was more the inspiration or the clarification of that this isn't going to be enough. They all can see things. They all analyze things. That's not going to be enough for them. They need action. They need living. They need, past that. So most people come in and there's definitely some kind of parental wound, right? It's a mother wound, it's a father wound, it's a grandparent, whatever. And I want to acknowledge that, because a lot of people don't, like, a lot of women have father issues and mother issues, and a lot of men have mother issues. It's been an honor and a healing journey for me to work with you because of the things I couldn't do for certain other people in my life or in my past who wouldn't let me do it. Let me help. But it's not, again, this isn't ego. And you guys know this, but people that don't know me think, well, it doesn't have to be you or whatever. And it's not even my job necessarily. I don't necessarily feel like it's my job to heal the world, or, it's like, no, I just have these tools. I look at it, I said, can I please help you not suffer any longer and feel better, because the answers are right here. And they're not that hard. You just don't know them. And I learned them because it was hard in my life at one time to figure it out. And now that I have them, I feel so much better. Can I give these to you? Right? It's just normal humanity, right? You do that for anybody with certain aspects of life. So it's definitely been an honor to allow me to help you. So I thank you for that. And I'd love anyone else to chime in about Patrick at this time. about the difference that you've seen in Patrick. And yes, Danielle, you've known him the longest because you met him in person at
Yep.
Awaken Your Dream Life.
Yep. I instantaneously felt a connection with you, just your warmth, and to watch you go through that process and to, at the end of it, like break wide open and choose you. That's what I witnessed. And then one of the things that I was really excited about our group were that when, there was a male, or we had two men, in it, that because I've had such men issues in my life, daddy issues, but relationship issues. So it was something I felt lucky to have. And someone like you that is so warm and so caring, and that I felt like it was like something that was going to be healing for me to have you on the journey, because I know those are going to be some things that we're going to be touching down and on this journey, and to have your support and to be heard by you, and to be loved by you is very special. And you're really a beautiful human being. And I'm just happy that you're coming home to yourself, and that you're loving yourself, and that you know that you're valued and that you're important first. So I wanted to go first because I kind of knew I was going to tear up. Yeah, a lot of tears. Good tears, beautiful tears. Yeah, so that's been my, just cherishing your energy. You're just super, super, super cool. And I hope you get to see more of yourself, of how we see you, because you're a beautiful soul. And I'm happy to be on this journey with you.
And I will say, when I started this and we did our first Zoom call and you had your beard, and I'm like, whoa, this might be a little dark and intense. I'm not sure how this goes for me, who is, I'm not sure how this goes. And as I watched, when you shaved your beard off, you got lighter. And when you were so uncomfortable doing our polos at first. And as you got more comfortable doing that and challenged yourself in that way, and as you challenged yourself with your boxing and your going and doing, you were like, do I do this tournament? Do I not? Where am I with all this? Do I have enough training? I do have to say, when you were like, yep, doing it, that was, for me, I was like, well, if Patrick can do this stuff, clearly I can do this too. And so to watch you kind of lighten up and be willing to share and give to, balance feminine and masculine energy and be comfortable sharing and growing. It's just cool to watch how you're evolving, and how I know you will evolve more, and how you can take this and apply this in different aspects of your life, and even with sharing with your groups that you're working with and your people, like how can we tweak this and make this more comfortable for you, and doing all of these things. And I think it's been a really cool thing to watch you put yourself out there more and really grow.
So, my fellow Aquarian friend, so I think the very, very first thing that I remember on one of our I think it was our Zoom calls, and your wounds and my wounds were the same from childhood. And there was this connection that I felt safe in a space, because it takes me a while with my Scorpio moon, I think that's what it is, to really allow for vulnerability. And your ability from the very get-go to be able to speak the truth of where you were at, and I felt it so much. There was that energetic connection. And as the time went on, it feels like family, honestly. I was actually telling Cammie, because we've been rooming together, it's almost like a brother. And I think that there's these common threads in our lives, and there's this circle that has brought us together, that we were all meant to be together. And I should say I'm an only child, so perhaps I've also always wanted a brother in so many ways, and that does not mean any expectations to you by any means. I'm not going down that sick road. However, I think there are times in life when we have wounds from our past, and you can connect to another human being. And so watching you in this journey, there's just been this sense of family pride to watch you grow and continue to find you. And you're in this zone. Your energy before was maybe more intense at times. Not out, maybe outbursts would be the right, with the road rage, for example, or just not knowing how to process it, but watching your ability to bounce back so quickly and to process the emotion because it was in the physicality. And I think men oftentimes do. Women will sometimes more internalize it, and men, right, will externalize it through anger or whatever it might be. But watching you be able to process it so quickly and use the tools. And also, you were my Rampage partner, and you were so consistent and reminding me, thank you, you held me accountable too, because you've shown up and you've done the work, and I commend you for that. And I just see you in this calm energy now. You're on your journey, and I think you have so many tools now that you're going to continue to implement. And it's just, you're going to grow in your relationships and inside you too.
How's that feel?
Authentic, genuine, everybody. It's nice validation for, what I hoped to, and just so much more to gain from doing this process that, I had an idea of benefits and like goals I had with doing this, but it's just been so much more than that, and only a short amount of time, and it's because of the work that we've all done together. It's not the talking, analyzing. It's because of the exercises, the work, and you ladies holding me accountable too, and showing up as well, and none of us flaking out and keeping up with it. It feels nice to have y'all's love. It feels nice and genuine, especially from women, to have that, because that's not something I thought I wanted or desired or needed. So, thank you all.
All right, Miss, I had an ayahuasca journey without ayahuasca. Let's talk about you.
Okay. So, when we went through our end of our, our what we were doing yesterday before all that started to happen, my journey really has been like, where am I still in victim mode? And I had to continue to be shifted from that, and that'll be a work in progress. I know that. And also, I think the big revelation is how unsafe I feel in the world. The tears, like, blah, 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 blah.
It's all good.
But just how unsafe in every aspect. So I have been, one of the things I said to JJ is, being in a small group, is that I can't hide, right? And that I was going to play full out. Like, I knew I was going to play full out. And there was moments where I was like, nope, that's a hard pass. Nope, not doing that. And I went for it. And, did I go for it? And one of the biggest challenges where I didn't want to be challenged physically, and didn't feel this was one of those situations where I signed up for a physical, let alone the ayahuasca, without ayahuasca experience. But I continued with the support, knew that I had support, and I was going to do what I could. And I saw where I could, the first hike, I got to the top and I was fine and I was okay, but it was way more challenging than I thought it was going to be on the first one. So the second one, I kept like, no, I'm not doing this. It's too scary, because again, it brings up the unsafe. I'm not safe. But I was willing to do as much as I could. I made a decision the night before I was going to just have my earphones on. It did not happen that way at all. Thinking I'm just going to go, and I almost backed out the minute I got right to the first area where there was big boulders we were going to like kind of climb around. And I was like, oh. And I continued on, and I had the support of Doug, and he just kept chatting with me, and he was patient. And I think that that's the other thing too, the patience through this process, as intense as it can be. There's moments where it's not intense, and it's fun, but there's the moments where you need your edge pushed, is when it gets like the rubber hits the road. and to have the support, and knew that every one of you had my back, whether you were ahead of me or behind me. I was never left behind. And I got to a point where I knew I couldn't push, and I had to listen to myself, because that's been a balance. Is when is it that I need to be pushed, and when is it that my internal dialogue or my internal guidance is like, you have had enough, because you don't know what's ahead of you. So those were some of the things where my upper limits are. Understanding what is the difference between an upper limit and my inner guidance saying, no, like you're doing a lot, and to be okay with that, and to trust that that's okay, and not be afraid of disappointment from you, our coach, and others that I, might have didn't push hard enough. So that kind of was on my, my coattails the whole entire time, and where I was judging my own strength, where I was judging, where my weaknesses are. So one of the things through this whole process, me being all earth in my astrology, I have a tendency not only to be in my head, but to be stuck on the ground. And although I do things and I do challenge myself, where is it that I'm not allowing myself to be a little more free, because not being able to move forward? So fast forward to our end group discussion and what we learned. I had no idea. I trusted you. And that's everything. Is I just went with it as far as I could. And we started by moving my energy, and you wanted me to cry and get the energy out and my emotions out more, and to not stop it. And so I don't know if a time in my life that I would have been able to go through that whole thing. And knowing all of you are just there for me and standing by my side, was everything. If I probably was in a big group, like I would have probably stopped at some point, and I allowed it all to come out. And I've had an experience with this pain in my head, and it happened again, which we all know. I knew when I couldn't go any further, and it was pretty crazy, because I remember JJ and everybody was behind me, and they were just holding space for me. And Luna, the cat, was right by my side. She knew like this one needs some support. And that was really fucking cool. But just to have everybody around me and surround me, and I didn't come here to not do it. I didn't know it was going to happen. And then I proceeded to, can I say it?
You can say whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
JJ, the pain in my head was so intense, and I just kept pushing through. And then I was like, okay, no, I need to come back down. And, everybody brought me over to ground my feet. And then, after some time, just, I had everybody right behind me, holding space for me, whether holding my hand on my back, whatever. And then we started to do some tapping to get me to come out of it, to start calm me down, because the pain in my head was so bad. And this is not the first time it happened. This wasn't like something that I was pushed to. It's when I allow my emotional, my capacity and the intensity of my emotions to go there. That's when this has happened to me. And so there's definitely some emotional blocks and sexual blocks and some traumas that I've had. And then I think as it was happening, we were doing our tapping, and then I knew I was, and I just started to throw up. And then I don't want to scare anybody, but it's like, it felt so natural. I knew it was a purging. I knew that this has been waiting, and I just had to allow myself, but also be in a space to allow myself to go to the degree that I needed to go for myself. and then just the love and the support hours after, and just going and lay down, and just JJ, how much your commitment to safety and holding space for us and walking us through it, and that to me is like just so powerful. And like I said to you yesterday, when I met you and Wake Your Dream, I hugged you the one time and I just started to cry, and you're like, what's going on? I'm like, I have no idea why I'm crying. And, so in that moment I was like, yep. It was like spirit to spirit. It was like, oh, I'm going to take you somewhere, but I got you. So I thank you.
I want to explain. For those of you, I don't even know when I'm publishing this episode. I don't know if the psilocybin episode has been out yet or not. But basically, Danielle, for those of you that know the different kinds of psychedelics and medicines that are out there, she basically had an ayahuasca journey without the ayahuasca. People travel and spend thousands of dollars to go to Rhythmia in Costa Rica with medical professionals and small groups to literally take ayahuasca to purge the way you just did yesterday. Now, for a lot of you, that's going to scare the shit out of you. You're like, I don't want to do that. And I totally get that. And it's not that you necessarily want to purge in that way. But when you have the trauma that you have, and that people, and we hold it in our bodies, it's the body's way of releasing it and getting it out. And so there, it doesn't have to be that way, but for some people, maybe it does have to be that way, because you've been so overflowing with, when we're in our heads and we're trying to analyze and think of things, we're disconnected from the body, and the body's been trying to tell us something. We need a way. 88% of your subconscious is in your body. The body knows, it holds everything. And so that's why just talking about it and analyzing something isn't enough. There has to be a physicality to it. And you didn't do very much. I mean, literally, it was not even 10 minutes of a little bit of movement with some music and a little bit of tapping. And the body was like, okay, here I'm coming. I'm going to let it out now. I mean, I've told the story, I think, on the show before. I dropped off one of my cats, Cornelius, to get surgery. I had moved to Long Beach from Manhattan Beach. So I drove up, dropped him off. And as I was driving back, I had to pull over and throw up, because I was so scared. But I didn't know I was scared until I had dropped him off. I was just on the way going, okay, it's a sarcoma. It's on the outside of his skin. He'll be fine. And I was so in motion, not like feeling. I dropped him off. I'm driving home. All of a sudden I realized, oh my God, I'm scared. And I threw up. I told her, and it was like, where'd that come from? Oh, because I'm scared. And our bodies react differently to how we process emotion and how we purge. But as that was happening for you, and we all felt it, it was a massive release of energy that you have been holding on to. And this was yesterday. So I'm going to be really interested to see what happens in a week from now, in a month from now for you, in terms of how your body adjusts and sort of sets itself. I mean, it's almost the equivalent also of like doing a heroic dose of something else also. I mean, you would have actually gone more. Anyway, that would have pushed you differently. But this was your body saying, I needed this outlet because I can't hold this anymore. And it's not about the talking about it. It's about the emoting of it. And it's finding like how to unlock that. And it's going to be all physical for you, as you saw. Yeah. 10 minutes, not even. You were not
it
even.
It felt like an hour and a half.
Right. I was timing the whole thing. The rest of it was an hour and a half. The purging and the moving around and the tapping and all that was an hour and a half.
Okay.
But you're with music and a little bit of tapping and your eyes closed, that was less than 10 minutes. And all of that came up now, but that was because the build up from the hike,
right,
and the hike the day before, and noticing your fear of the hike on our last call. Yep, the gate had been opened, and then it was sort of the momentum had happened, and then when you got here, it opened wide. So all of those parts and pieces needed to happen to get there, and of course, it's not necessarily like a desirable thing, but sometimes it's a necessary thing, and the
word safety was never in all the counseling or stuff that I've done in my life. I didn't, it wasn't there to notice, until like we talked about the original hike. And I was asking JJ all these questions of like, how muddy I just bought new sneakers. I'm not looking to ruin my sneakers. And how steep is the hike? Because I've had it many times where people think like, oh, this is like not a hard hike. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like that's hard, for me, and, but by just all right. So also asking for what I need and asking for more information, because I will just try to analyze it and figure it out and go along. And then I put myself into unsafe situations because I didn't ask anything, at least to have more information. So that was, and through that gave me the word safety to work with, like on so many levels. You know, when am I not feel safe? You know, and what does that look like? Because each situation is just different, you know.
So I'm guessing you had no, like, if you were to say, is this what you thought was going to happen in this program?
No.
Okay. Was it more or less than what you thought it was going to be, this program?
It was way more than, way more. Well, I think in the other two thing, again, feeling the edges, and even noticing when I was, because at one point we had, each month we went through, a different type of exercise, and I saw where my, was it my upper limit, or was I had taken in so much, and I felt like I was moving a little too fast, and again, I had to share that with you, which was scary for me. Like, there's this, like, don't tell anybody how you're feeling. Don't tell anybody. Don't let her know, that, like, I'm tapped out. Like, I'm at my ceiling. And I think because of my experience in life, I wasn't going to get the permission to like, okay, unplug a little bit. Like, it's okay, because there's a hummingbird. Not given permission to, like, take a break, or, not, like, the feeling of keeping up, is like, I have to keep up. I have to keep up. I have to keep up. I'm going to fall behind, and I'm going to be lost, or whatever it is. And that's just, life collections of thoughts. So when you said to me, just unplug, and I was like, oh, okay. Oh, thank you. Like, sometimes, like, external validation, or just permission, and to learn that I need to give myself that permission, no matter how somebody else is going to really accept it or not. That's been a big thing.
Okay. I'm going to open it up. I want people to comment on, well, first of all, I just want to say I'm really honored to have the trust from all of you. Because while someone else might have thought what was happening yesterday was a bad thing, I was so impressed and honored to be able to support you through that. And when it comes to you were talking about, being tapped out, or it gets back to the body. It's like, it comes back to you, and each one of you are so different in different ways, right? So that's the other personalization. You can't really do that in a group of 50 people. It has to be like 10 or less to really, like, fine tune how you work with different people, because it's going to be different based on all the things. And prior to yesterday, I didn't know about the trauma piece that you had, which now makes a lot more sense, and it's going to help me in the intake and in the core wound work to add that to that, because, like, it now it makes a lot of things make more sense. Oh, of course she doesn't feel safe in the world, and it's not just from your parents, and this was for you. It's about trusting the body, and really that's what the message was. And it's not that I went with my intuition about what I thought would unlock you, and then the body said, this is what I need, and this is what I'm going to do. And we just allowed it to happen, and we followed the guidance of your own body. Right? And it is a dance of when is it too much and is it an upper limit. But that's also why all the tools that you have will help you to make that decision and be able to see the patterns of where it is in that. And so you did exactly what you went exactly where you needed to go. And we'll see what happens moving forward. But I want to thank you for your trust. That is the reason why I've turned people away from doing these programs, because if you don't listen to the show and you don't trust me, it won't work. You all come with a trust. I mean, Becky had a different kind of trust. It was like you had been with me by that point about a month after you signed up, and then had access to the roadmap. But you used your intuition and felt ready. You were kind of came to the table ready. But if you don't trust me, don't even bother getting on a call with me. Don't waste my time, because it can't work. That's the bottom line, and that's the process of having an application, so that I can know where you are with that, because I will push you. That's kind of what my thing is. That's my thing, because I think it works. I don't know. Maybe I'm nuts, but because again, the things that didn't work is why we're here. So it's out of the contrast of things that I tried, or then in my past relationships we tried, and it's like, no, that's not enough. It's not enough, and it's this paradigm needs to shift and change. And so, so who would like to speak to Danielle's growth? Because the momentum that got created yesterday was pretty profound, and you almost just sort of started now. Like, we got you to the place where now you've trusted enough to open, and I can't wait to see what happens next for you and what you're going to feel like, and to keep trusting your body and to keep allowing your body and keep tuning into your body and keep expressing through your body.
Yeah, I'll start. So when I asked JJ, like, who was in the group, or maybe you just volunteered that, Danielle from Awaken Your Dream Life is going to be in there, I was so excited. And I told Caitlin, I said, yeah, remember the real bubbly lady, the one that's a hairdresser that was talking to us? Like, she's going to be in the group. She's like, oh, that's so cool. So, like, selfishly, it made me feel more comfortable because somebody was going to be in the group. And then I was like, just excited to get to know you more, because I didn't really obviously know very much other than from the event. And as we went along, I had no idea all the other work you've done. Like, you were talking about the Mama Gina and the TCP and all these other things. I was like, God, this lady's done like a lot of work and a lot of self-exploration and all that. And I'd be willing to bet, hunch, like, you've had your most progress in the last 6 months. And I know you've made a boatload with the other things that you've done, but
Yesterday,
experiencing what we experienced yesterday, and being there for you, and being able to have your back literally as we tapped on your back, and to be there to support you and nurture you through it. And we all felt it too, and we all got emotional, and like, it was almost like we were taking some of that from you, but not like Becky said, we were talking yesterday, not like as a container to store it, but like having, like, filtering it for you, so like we could get it from you and then release it back out into the world and get rid of it for you to help you out with that. And I've always appreciated all of your polos and hearing all of your insights and all of the conversations. And I know that you still have, like myself, some tough conversations with family to have. And I know maybe up and prior to yesterday that you were maybe afraid to have those conversations. And I just hope that from yesterday's experience that is going to be more of a push for you to have those uncomfortable dialogues and conversations, because I think you're going to see more of the benefit. And I am honored to be like a safe male figure for you, because, again, not knowing your experience and what you have been through, I am very honored to be at least that in your life.
Thank you.
I love you. Thanks.
Thank you. I love you too.
So, Danielle, you are all love. And you've held a space of safety and love from day one, and so inclusive. You held, you care so deeply about others and have expressed this depth of connection and love for everyone around you. And I think what the most important lesson that I've seen you grow, and I would say it's been in the last few weeks, I've seen it grow, but you are now understanding that the trust and relationship and loving of yourself. Not that you didn't before, because you've done the work, but sometimes, again, we do the work or we feel, but I think I do the same. You look for the feel good and avoid the feel bad. So you feel like the journey of getting better is to look for more good feelings and in some ways avoid the conflict or the energy underneath. And yet you had to boil. Like, you've been in a you needed a rapid boil, not a steam, and your ability to be so vulnerable and to be able to, I was in awe of you yesterday. I would have probably melted and not, in this group, watching this energy and what you went through, but you were able to, and I want you to trust yourself and know that was so much for you to be that vulnerable. I mean, you've been vulnerable and caring, but you literally allowed yourself to have a journey, an ayahuasca journey, in front of people. And I know you were worried at one point in time about, before the hike on our last call, just being able to use your voice and say, I'm not sure I'm okay with this. And then when you said that was one of the very first times you'd ever like verbally stuck up for yourself or, said something. So to go from that, what was that, last Tuesday, to this journey yesterday, the power of change. And I think I said, well, the first time you do it, it's going to be, the hardest, and it'll get easier. Right. But you literally went from step 1 to step 1,000 and making that journey easier. And so, like everyone else here, I'm so happy for you, because I do believe you're going to take this and you're going to be able to knock down like the tempered glass. Like, when we think we have this thick piece of glass, a shower, and you knock it down and it just breaks. I really do believe that's where you're at in healing, like breaking down the glass. And I do believe that was your shatter. And just last piece is just through astrology. I thought it was pretty amazing with our nodes. So you will learn through there's North Node and South Node. And Danielle and I have each other's past lives. So your North Node is your purpose, your soul's mission to this year, this lifetime, this earthly, and your South Node is from your past life. And so Danielle and I have been able to have this dance and be able to be really brutally honest through conversations and be able to hold that space, or perhaps from a family member, it might not be received, but because of this sacred space, you could be real with me and say, ooh, I'm feeling this. And I did not take offense to it because I knew you had my heart. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Cami.
When I first met you and we were going through the calls and doing things, and I'm like, holy cow, this lady has done a lot of work. She's so far evolved in all of this, and I'm going to learn so much from her. And she is so open and loving and kind, and her heart is so big. And I see it when you talk about your love of your sister and doing things, and your niece and how you support. Like, you are such a good support system for everybody, and you are rooting for everybody, and you want them to be the best that they can be. And then yesterday when we had our stuff, and I'm like, holy cow, that's a whole lot of detox going on. And now I'm watching as she's doing it. I'm like, now she's taking her power back, because it's like she's going through this and like, I own this. I accept this. I'm ready to move, and I can do great things through all of this. And so it's so cool to witness that for you, because we're all rooting for you, and we know the amazing thing, already the amazing person that you are and the love that you are. And so it's just been awesome.
How does that all feel?
Well, without any words, it was exactly how I felt yesterday. The breaking open, and I had my eyes closed, but I knew all of you were like right there watching me. And I just kept saying, like, you, like, go for it. They are here for you. They love you. They see you. They see what you don't see in you. And that's just, I felt the love from everybody, and I felt the same thing of like, just the trust. And to be, this would be funny if I took all my clothes off yesterday, like I wouldn't have cared. Like I would have known that that each and every one of you were a safe place for whatever was going to go down that needed to go down, which I've never, ever allowed myself to feel that break open, along with like, didn't matter what my body looked like. Didn't matter, whether, whatever it was, however I looked, so that's the energy behind all their words I felt. And so I think just because of them, and of course it happening right now, and have built the relationships and had the energy between us is just such a gift. And I appreciate everybody's words and love, and, just feeling it back. Like when you said like you were excited, it's like, oh, okay. I felt that way too. And it's like, oh.
Well, I did. did want you to feel comfortable by knowing somebody, and I did want you to feel comfortable knowing somebody, and since you're both doing it. But something became very clear to me right now. So that breakthrough happened because of the healing in some way, in some percentage, if you will, of your safety wound.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't have done that without feeling safe.
The way.
So we've already chipped away at a big part of the I'm not safe, because you had to felt safe to do that yesterday in your body.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then you making the choices to continue and to keep going and to not stop yourself and to just allow it to happen. So I just want to acknowledge that whatever happens after this, that is the doing of this is the evidence of the trust and of the feeling safe.
Well,
even
and the interesting thing, because I said it to you privately, is like the vulnerability all the way to this morning, like just vomiting 4 or 5 times at different stages. And Patrick, he goes, don't steal my shine, or what did you say yesterday? And I was like laying down, I was like, oh God. And there was a moment where, like, it was like, I think my spiritual body said, just wait a little longer before you go for like your 3rd shot. Let him talk, let him have his space.
Oh, right, because it was during your
yes.
Your share. Right?
But I said to JJ, I said, I keep saying, there's nothing to be sorry about, because I kept wanting to say, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm just vomiting, like, and vomiting and vomiting. And like, and I felt so free in, like, I had nothing to apologize for. And that I didn't matter if I was over there by myself and you guys were carrying on. Obviously you weren't going to, if I'm like throwing up, but like, I could just feel taking up so much space and so much of everybody's time, which is something I definitely, like, I was forced into like stopping everything. And this was like, just all lights were on me. However it was going down, like, I didn't stop myself from, like when I kept dipping my hand in the water, because I was in so much pain. I was in so much like my body. And I was just like, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter, as I said, whether I was going to, like, I needed to take my clothes off and I needed to lay down. Like, I didn't, like, that freedom, I will never forget.
Well, I'm hoping you'll continue feeling it.
Taking my clothes off. No.
No, but the freedom to just be and take up space and to
space.
attend to you and to keep going and to, I think that is a testament to that we can say that there's been a shift in that wound of not feeling safe. Yep. Just by the evidence of what's happened since yesterday.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to, again, I almost wish that we would have done. I mean, I want to do this now because if those of you that are listening, these are always longer episodes, which I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for them. I'm doing it for you if it's interesting to you, but it's also when you guys are going to hear this, because this is like a last session basically.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you guys hear this, it's going to even, like, again, embed a little bit more sort of and bring you right back to here and activate what you feel right now and what you've been feeling. So that way you can hopefully continue carrying that and living that and being whatever we are now and moving forward. So anyway, but it'll be interesting to see what happens to what you feel and how your body responds and how your life responds. So we'll have to say, where are they now? All right, Becky.
So when I started this journey, and it's interesting. It's hard to start when you have multiple layers, and I think we all in life have multiple layers and buckets, perhaps, that we need to or feel like we need to address. And I have been gifted for 45 years in my life to take care of others and find the ability to not take care of thyself, and find through cat rescue or education or oils or, my children, my husband, really not working on the wounds. You might know the wounds from your childhood, but when I think of what I learned, step one was, how do you keep your wounds alive yourself today? When we work through that wound work and identifying it, first of all, putting words to it was huge. But then figuring out how you keep it alive. And then the tools, just one tool that was beautiful. JJ was able to step, I think, all of us along one by one, because being an air sign, I think, or people in general will want to do so much at one point in time or at any given time, but you get lost in the ability to have any progress if you're trying too much at one point in time. And so JJ was able to create this platform that was just baby stepping, but also great steps at the same time. Energetically, I think one of the reasons why I did connect to JJ in the beginning was because she gets things and she moves fast, and then she goes on to the, you get things, you pick it up, you implement it, and it goes. And I have a same kindred spirit. And so I can't say enough about the fact that learning how from the wounds of the past that I've always kept in the past, and have I feel a somewhat positive mind frame around it. Like I feel like I have done healing on my own and maybe through therapy, but there were still wounds that, again, I was keeping alive into this day and age. So that breakage of learning those patterns, and then moving on to realizing that as much as I am a vulnerable, loving human being, I am for everybody else. But when it came to crying, and I had forgotten this until we were just here together, crying has never been easy for me. I can cry for a movie or cry for someone else or share their space as an empath to feel their emotion, but to allow the depth inside. And that was the first thing that happened in this program, was I could just cry. And I could cry anywhere at any space, in a restaurant, and not feel that shame or that, it's not okay. And that was like this ability to be more in touch with my own body. Because like you, Danielle, that physicality, like I had to go physical first before I could hit that emotion to really, really dig deep. And the tears were the first one. So I think once we understood our feelings and how to express them and how to put things into words or journal or Ho'oponopono or just appreciation, like all these little skills and tools take time to implement. And it takes at least 3 months to even attempt to really, really get it. And really that fourth, fifth, sixth month, I don't know if you guys all agree, like really is when the magic starts happening, because you can get excited about something and then you keep on going and keep on growing and it's like a snowball effect in many ways. So in my journey, at some point in time, what was that, like a month and a half ago, I had what I would call my own ayahuasca at home. There was throwing up, there was a nervous system breakdown, there was a physicality to needing to, and I thought I'd done so much healing, and I had, but I needed to have it in the physical form like you. And the components of this program that I did not know, I knew about the wounds and the feelings, but then when we started to talk about alignment, and, JJ will say, like, when you're in a place of alignment, that's the point in time when you're going to be making the right decisions, and just to listen. So to go from the air, to go from the thoughts to the feeling. And for me, it was my sacral chakra. For me, it was this in-depth, not my heart, not my head, but like this feeling of warmth in my body. And when I was able to learn that that's where I needed to make a choice of placement, and that's what an alignment means for me in my physical earth form, it felt like this new level and appreciation of my own trust in myself and my own inner strength. So I think through just the courses of law of attraction, astrology would just help me with relating and understanding personalities and people, and to be able to not, as you had said, like permission-based asking, would you like to hear, would you like support in that, or would you like my opinion, or instead of just offering all the time offering. And there was a nervous energy about myself that existed that is just like going, doing, that I still have that energy, but I trust myself. I trust that energy more. It's not nervous energy. I'm able to step back more now and take the breath, take the time to listen for my inner message and my intuition, to then not be in my head, but to actually put into practice exactly where I need to go, and know that my decisions that I make, which I think a lot of moms in their mid-40s, I'm 45, 3 kids, they're 19, 17, 10. You go through a transition in life when you go through this journey of perimenopause or whatever in our mid-40s, 50s, where you really are rediscovering who you are. You question yourself, you question your journey, you question your decisions, and you by listening to your intuition, you don't have to worry about the questions. You just do, and you be, and you trust that it's okay. You just one step at a time, one decision at a time, and you will literally create that pattern, and it's okay to pivot. So this program allowed all that internal growth, but I was so craving a community of like-minded people. And I too was concerned. I didn't know any of you. It took me a while to maybe pull down my guard. I don't know that expression. The expression of just pulling down my guard. Let down. That's, I know. Imagine let down. Thank you. It took me a while because that is not, it is easy for me to be vulnerable for other people, but not what's going on. And a big part of it is because if you heard my story, as a child, there's a lot of what you could be as a victim, like a lot of shit happened. And I did not want that to be a part of my story because to me, I detached from it. But really what I didn't think about was that it was the creation of who I am today. It's what has created me today in a good and bad. It's the journey. It's the journey of life. And so to be able to accept it for what it was and not feel afraid of it or burdened by it, or feel like when I was talking about it that I was a victim, because the whole idea of someone feeling sorry for you or me, that's the worst. I would hate it. It was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you went through that. You know, that's so much, I couldn't have handled that. That's like the worst thing that someone could say to me, because then that put on the pressure of like, you have to keep your shit together even more. So here, I didn't have to keep my shit together. And
in fact, you're encouraged to let all your shit out.
And it really didn't take me long to finally, and I think it was through everyone else in this group being vulnerable and our past member who was able to be so vulnerable. And I was like, whoa, like it was, first I was like, oh God, what did I get myself into? But then very quickly it was like, oh no, you are safe. These people do have you. And that we have such similar wounds. Like that was meant to be, you know, we have similar crossover. And so it's like, oh, I'm not the only one who has gone through this too. So I think where I take it now is the continued work with the law of attraction, the continued work with the guided, like I'll say guided meditation, the guided process of the daily, and then these friendships, this community, I know we will continue to be in each other's lives. Like there's just not a question of that. And I think that's something you don't realize when you come into a program like this, that you are on the same platform looking at the same podcast because you're all seeking the same knowledge or needs. And then you come here and together you are like-minded. And so there's 8 billion of us in this world. And yet we all found JJ, we all found our podcast, we all were spoken to. And so when you take that leap of faith to go into a program like this, you have to know you're literally diving into a frequency of other people that are like you. And we are more alike than we are different. That was something that was truth. So
you did talk a little bit about your awakening, and we don't have to go, you know, you did basically what Danielle did, but for a little longer, different in that yours was being supported in person. Yours, you had shame about at the beginning, right? Because you didn't want to tell me that you had been going through it. And Miss Luna, she just is bringing all the things. I love that she brings you wood. She brings all, it's Luna. God bless this cat. She's such a good little therapy cat. She just wants to make sure we're all taken care of. She's bringing us gifts of wood, and thank God not dead animals. But back to you, Becky. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know, the
awakening.
Right. So
Being at home.
being at home and thinking something was wrong. Like something's off. Mm-hmm. Something's wrong. And I said, no, this is exactly where you need to be.
Yeah.
Right. When we're in person, you can feel that, and you kind of know. I mean, you've seen probably other people go through similar things. So it's not like, oh my God, what's happening? You're like, no, I understand this happens for some people. And now it's happening for me. I'm pointing to Danielle. Becky, you were by yourself at home. I mean, with your family, but it's not necessarily you had that support. And so it felt, because you said you were afraid to tell me.
Yes. So I think part of that journey with my awakening was that my home I do have support. And I've always held that strong suit for my children and my husband, not wanting to be a burden in any way, shape, or form. That awakening was probably one of the deepest. I've been married for 20 years together with him for 25 years. So we were 19 and 20 when we met. That was probably the most vulnerable that I've ever been, and allowed him to come into my world and support me, because I am the emotional one in the family. I'm the checking of all emotions. I don't mean emotional. Well, yes, I probably cry more and have more hormones and things too, but I mean like I am the barometer for emotions in our family. And I think a lot of women can see that and feel that in their family. But to allow vulnerability to crash and burn, and to have your man hold that space and hold you, I allowed him to fulfill that role and not need to be in, I guess, in my masculine energy or that caretaking so much. So with that in mind, I was also able to let my children see me cry and tell them and explain what mommy was going through, or, you know, and to share and to be that person has created this community in my home that is so much more accepting and loving and just full. And now I see Chris as a part of my journey. My husband is a part of my journey. And I'll talk to you about November we were going to get to, I would like him potentially be a part of that, because I think it's not me alone anymore. It's in community, and trying to do things on my own. Taking the 4 days to tell you was because I thought that I had lost all the skills. I was so ashamed, not shamed, but just terrified. Like, fuck, did I just revert? Did I just go back in time? And yet there's something inside me that's like, no, you have done so much. It's there. But when you're in that space of such loss and vulnerability or pain, physical pain, it went from emotional to my synaptic, my brain felt shut down and firing, but not, it was just such a physical worry. And I think I shared, I thought that I needed to go and check myself in, or have some form of medication, some physical narcotic, when I knew that's not what I needed. But JJ said, you are in the right space. You said something to the effect of, lean into this.
Because you had acknowledged the air sign factor of spinning in my head, let me figure it out. It's like, no, the body is literally breaking open right now. Let it. Same thing with you yesterday with Danielle. Let it. It's saying, this is what I need. Just don't fight it. Don't numb it. Let it. And then the change that's happened in you since then, that you have said over and over again, is that you no longer worry. You were filled with worry all the time.
Yes.
And now it took up so much space, and now you have more space in your brain, in your body, in your being. And that's because you let all the energy out. You were holding all that energy, trying to manage the energy, trying to make sense of the energy, analyzing the energy, figuring out what to do about the energy, but you weren't just allowing the energies just to be and come up and out of you. Same thing what happened with Danielle yesterday, right? But different because you were at home and you had that judgment or that fear of being vulnerable with your husband or your children, or not being the rock anymore for them, like being able to fall apart, which is unfortunate, because women will say, I really don't like this phrase, so just hear this, everybody, but I've heard people, I'm always the strong one. But if strong means I'm actually lying because I have emotions I'm not showing you, that's not strong.
Right.
And to be able to have that conversation with your children and your husband this is life, guys. This is again, going back to the beginning of when we started talking about why this work is important for people, because every celebrity that I've seen off themselves in the last couple of years, people go, oh my God, but that person had so much money and they were so happy. They looked so happy. They had a perfect house and the perfect family and they had like perfect job. And it's like, okay, guys, this is what's on the outside. And so many people wear masks, but there is a lot of stuff going on underneath the surface and nobody's attending to it. Or they want to call it mental illness, or they want to put you on a drug and they want you to numb it, and they want you to be able to get by, take the edge off with some kind of pharmaceutical drug so that you can function in a lie about your life and how you feel in this world. It's all a lie. So let's just keep medicating it and pretend it doesn't exist, and then get so uncomfortable in our bodies that we either manifest a disease, or we say, I can't handle this enough. Death seems like the next best choice. I'd rather die than feel this pain anymore. So but that's because people are afraid of what you went through and afraid of what, Danielle, you did yesterday. But I'm telling you, it's part of the freaking human experience at some point. If you're not It's like I say, if you're not crying or screaming every couple of months, there's something you're not processing or dealing with. I'm not saying I don't cry or scream every couple of months necessarily, because things, as you start to work on these things, your triggers change. That doesn't matter anymore. I mean, Patrick, you said to me yesterday, and I still want you to do the work, but after we did the exercise, the safe conversation, you said, I don't think I need to do it now with my mother, right? Like, I got to stand in and sort of give you that and allow you that, so much so that now you don't feel the need to have it with her, although you're going to, and it's going to be amazing. But it's again, these are the hard conversations, the emotions, the messiness. People don't like the messiness, but it is messy. But it doesn't have to be something you're afraid of. It could be something that you move through it. It's that energy. Emotions are the most powerful thing in our lives, period. And we run from them, we contain them, we overanalyze them, we stuff them, and so, I loved, and I just said, and that what you were happening, that your awakening was happening during the Scorpio full moon. And which was about transformation. I'm like, how much more perfect can that be? You're literally burning the temple down to reemerge as something new. And you have Scorpio in you. And so that, and I'm saying this to you, Becky, to everybody here, and of course anyone who's listening, because I think when you realize that you aren't supposed to keep it all together, that your feelings do matter, and that it will be potentially uncomfortable, but if you understand it, you can allow that to happen more, because that might be the exact thing that you need. It's the emotional detox. It's the release of this energy we hold on to that makes us sick and makes our bodies break down. But at the same time, Danielle, the power that we felt from your release can fucking like destroy buildings. Like the power we all have is that. Right? And to access that power, to know that power within us, I think is the most important thing anyone can ever learn, because you understand how powerful as a creator you are. Each of you are, everyone listening, your power. And when you don't access that power, it makes you depressed. It makes you anxious. It makes you sick. And so, I don't know what you want to speak to about that back here, and you don't have to if you don't want to, but I just wanted to lay that out for people who are listening, because I've had many of those privately, or I've had, right, and I don't know if I've had it with anybody, I can't remember, but it doesn't matter. But as a Pisces, that's like cool. Like I know what's going on. Like I'm like I used to work myself to the bone, and then like totally be, my battery was dead, and then I'd break down, or if I was going through a breakup, or something like that, like I would just allow this. Sometimes I'd force it out. I'd just like say, okay, I know that I'm sad, let's get this out, let's read those notes, let's listen to that sad music, and let's purge all this out until it's done, and then when I feel complete, I can move on. And it's the way of like getting over that.
Well, one of the things that you kept reminding me after, when I was coming down from the intensity of it, and needing to go lay down, and my first instinct would be, what can I do to make this go away? And you kept, saying to me, like, this isn't about numbing this. This isn't about pushing it away. So I literally allowed myself to see how my body needed to go through it, to stay in the pain, but stay in the discomfort of what my body has been needing me to do, and not push it away with alcohol or
drugs,
vitamins, not vitamins, right. Aspirin,
yes.
Like I was like, oh, can I have an Aleve? Can I have something? And you're like, I don't want you to numb this. I want you to, feel this. And that was a scary place, because there was parts where I wasn't trusting myself. I wasn't trusting that my body could move through this for moments. And that's why, like, all last night I was like, just keep drinking water, have some crackers, and just lay here. Just lay here. But I just kept remembering you say, I don't want you to numb this.
Right.
And that was like important. It was like an important message that I needed in those moments. That was another big aha for me. It's like, you can do this. You're going to be fine. That's why I felt like, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. I'm like, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine.
You're going to be better than fine.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear that.
Share that.
So about you, anything that you want to add? You don't have to, about your awakening.
I do think that breaking that strength is an illusion. I think that's when you were just talking about it. And I mean that from a perspective that vulnerability is better, and to work in group and connection. I think one thing that I've discovered through all this is that we all really do want community. And so as a strong woman, and I got this, I would speak to her and say, you absolutely do, but it's so much easier and better if you allow your community to do it together. And that I think we've lost that in our society. And we need to bring that back in. And that doesn't have to be through family. It could be through friends. It could be through these groups that you can create that support system for you. Because you do it better. You are a better parent. You are a better human being. You are better at your job. You are better in all aspects. You are better for you if you allow to do things in group. And so I think that's my big takeaway.
So this is the point in which we're going to reflect back to Becky the things we've seen. I think I just started and said the first one. So you had a supercharge around using. You kept saying to me, "I love the science. I love the science." And I wanted to say, and let's tap into the body. Let's tap into the body, right? Yes, you love the science because you want to prove something, but it's too much in your head. And I got that. Like, I'm smart. I can figure this out. Yes, you can. And your body is literally saying you need to like let it go or break open or do whatever, which ended up being your awakening. And so I appreciate your persistence, your confidence in yourself, your trust in me to sort of jump into this program, and hadn't really listened to very many podcasts and didn't really know what you're getting involved in, but at the same time knew you were in alignment with it. And then the fact that you did reach out to me finally, and that you were honest, and that you trusted me to keep going and to let it subside, because what's happened since then is a transformation of your energy and your nervous system, which is now calmer. And you've said, again, I don't really worry, and I have more space. And even though you're always a bright, happy person, you are a grounded, centered, focused, bright and happy person now. There was the sort of the Aquarian energy all over the place, and then the sort of the scattered energy that was still happy and bright, but had an undertone of there's something I'm worried about. There's something I feel out of control about. There's something I have to figure out. And now you are aligned. You are grounded in a trust and in an openness and a flow versus a muscling through that you had in the beginning. And again, because we've all been there, so I can see that. But I love how quickly, again, month 4 or 5, whenever you had your awakening, that just really cleared the slate. Like, you are clean and ready for your next charge of helping the world. And while other things I'm sure will come up, it's like a 180 energetically, nervous system wise.
Yeah, so all of that, and Becky and I had personal conversation, and when we had our calls, and definitely like you were like when you said grounded and centered and aligned, like one of the things when I think we all kind of felt like, or at least I had said, like, oh my God, like, you do so many things, so many things, like you're going to do this and you're going to do that. And my thought was like, holy moly, how can one human being, like, God, she's smart. Like, God, she's just so much knowledge, and she could pull on it like this. And then when we got to have our intimate conversation, and, that energy was like, it felt so much for one little tiny body that you are. And I'm so grateful for the conversation that we did have, to kind of like share the energy of it, and that you didn't need to carry all of everything you were trying to carry for everybody and have answers for every single solitary situation, person, identity, whatever it was. You had an answer because you've worked so hard for all this to help. You really want to heal people, and you want to take care of people because that was your first role. And to see that 180 and over these times, and of course your breakdown, but or your breakthrough, you are able to pause and be in that space instead of trying to handle it and figure it out for that person, that you're a little bit more connected, and I can feel the penetration of energy more, instead of it be like, oh, I have an answer for you. You are able to just kind of be with us, because that's who you are. You have so much love that you want to help everybody, but you have literally done a 180 and energetically to be in your presence and to like that you've gone through that. And now that we're here in person to like just be together, and you don't have that energy. You don't have that quick. You have the information because you can't unlearn the information that you have, which is such a beautiful platform. But it was like trying to do all of the things. And it was like, where are you in this? And now it totally, it's just been, beautiful to watch you unfold and uncrank that which was cranked so tight. And again, I would say safety as well, safety for me, safety for you, so on and so forth. So, I'm really proud to see and the work that you did and how you just allowed yourself to go through this process, and you didn't try to fix it, or solve it. You really did put it down, and we're like completely open, and I appreciate you.
I was like, well, when we first were talking, I'm like, who is this fireball of a like idea lady? She's here, she's there, she's everywhere. What she is. And who is this person that I can talk to for an hour and we can go back and forth, and we have kids that have similar things, and it's nice to find that person that you can go, so this is what my kid does. Like, what's your kid do? Like, what does that look like in the future? And how are you doing all of these things? And to find a friend who you never knew you would find and be able to share. And just talking through, like, you give me great ideas. If I say something to you about it, you're like, well, what about this? Or what about that? And I'm like, well, I never thought about that. That's a really good idea. Gosh, I hope I remember that. And so I just think that while you give so much, we get so much from you and all of these different things. And I just love hanging out with you.
Where to start? My Aquarian sister, where to start? Yeah, in the beginning, it was like, wow, this girl's like ADD like I am. She's all over the place. And I was like, we're going to get along just fine. And I don't remember how long it was until we kind of started sharing our signs, or maybe JJ shared our signs when she started saying like there was a lot of air in our group. But I was like, okay, that makes sense. We're both Aquarian. Yeah, kind of ditto. I think you said this, Danielle, like your intuition and like you're seeing ahead for all of us, and stuff you've said to me, like, I can see you doing this, I can see you doing that, and because of your background, Patrick, I can see you helping these kind of people, I can see you doing these things. And I'm just like, how do you see all that shit? Like, where is that coming from? So, and I know that's because you're in alignment, not because you're just kind of like dreaming or in this fantasy state. Like, you're in alignment and you see this stuff because you do it for yourself too, and you're a wealth of knowledge. I mean, look at finances, your experience with finances, investment, education, farming, and I've said this to Caitlin before. I'm like, I'm struggling to get through this stuff, not having kids. Granted, we're together, but we're not technically married. Like, so I admire somebody in your situation. Like, you have 3 kids, you have a husband, you have a farm, you have 8 cats, you have dogs, you have all these animals, like, and you kept up with all this. You kept up with all of it. You kept showing up. And then, like, yeah, I mean, I was kind of like, I would have liked to have been there during your awakening, and like, we didn't even know about it. It was like, I think we had a group call maybe the next week or something, and JJ shared about it, or she asked you to share about it, and I was like, huh, what? Where did this come from? So it was cool to find out about that, but a little like, man, I would have liked to have been there to go through that with you, like we did with Danielle yesterday, to experience that, because up to that point in our group, nobody had really had, I guess, maybe a major breakthrough or a major awakening kind of experience. So it kind of sucked for us to be all far apart during that process. But yeah, I think like you said too, like it is no mistake that we've all been brought together. Like, nothing has been by mistake in this entire group. The way we started, the middle of it, the way our group has ended. Luna bringing you a stick. Another stick. So I think she needs one more stick because that's 3 and there's 4 of us. So I just know, and maybe I'm biased because I'm Aquarian, but I just know that you're meant for great stuff. And I know with the flip-flop farm and your son and the children you're going to be helping and the cat rescue, like, I know you're going to be made for big shit in the future. So, and I'm glad we're all going to be together moving forward.
Well, thank you for all the love. And thank you for honoring the shift and the appreciation and seeing the 180, because I feel it inside. And I think externally I always needed or thought I needed that validation. But I love hearing that the reflection of what's inside is there. And I think there's something so exciting. And I say thank you for Patrick for seeing that I'm going to do big and great things, because like you share that you just knew you were meant for something big. And I think that Aquarian in us is that way, but it just is how we are and perhaps our wounds and the things. And it's so nice to be validated and loved and to have all of you in this life form. We're all over the country. And I think that we all know, like, the moment we are in Florida or Pennsylvania, New Jersey area, Jersey. Colorado, like we have each other to keep that. And the Marco Polo, that'll be the nice way for us to, I think, to continue actually seeing each other from a coastal. So thank you.
Well, I hope those of you that have been listening and witnessing our very last meeting, our bonus meeting, which isn't really about you guys, it's about them. I share it because I want you to hear what happens. I want everyone to be inspired, and I want everyone to be seen and witnessed, because that's what's happening right now. That's why I wanted you to all reflect back to each other, not to be validated, but to be seen. I think that's a difference right? When validating means I'm questioning if I'm right. Being seen means someone else is seeing me the way I see me and showing up. And I think that's an important part. So this recording of this podcast isn't just recording of a podcast. It's the ability to, and now forever, you will all have this to listen back to remind you and to anchor in what's been happening and what you have. So if you need to be reminded of who you are and that you're seen, if you're having a bad day or you're off, you can come back and listen to this episode and come right back to where we are right now, or even look forward and say, well, where was I 6 months ago? Where was I 2 years ago? Remember when I was here? Gosh, look at my growth. I used to do certain masterminds just to keep accountable to growth, regardless of what people were doing or practices, like here are the goals or intentions, and then like checking in, where am I now? And so because most people don't track any of that, so you'll go through your entire year saying, I don't know what I accomplished. But if you're witnessing and paying attention, we accomplish a lot of things. We don't acknowledge ourselves for them. But if we were to take the time to acknowledge them or ask the questions, hey, do you see any change in me? Or to write the things down, you would probably be really amazed. Now, this is even different because you've been focusing for 6 months on something very specific, but just generally in life, I think we don't take enough time to acknowledge ourselves, to celebrate ourselves, to witness what it is we are doing and how we are growing, regardless if you do a program or not. So if you take nothing else away from this show, potentially start noticing your own growth and how you react differently to things. And if this is something that you might be interested in, I run 3 and 6 month programs. You can go to jjflazanes.com/apply. Again, it'd be nice if you've been listening to the show for a while. And of course, if you don't trust me, don't apply. You have to have a deep trust in that this is going to push you out of your comfort zone and that you're ready and that you've done work before. If you're absolutely new to all this work, I don't know that this would be the right place to start. But I hope it's inspired you, and it always inspires me. And I thank you all for giving me the opportunity to contribute to your lives in some way.